Beyond the newsroom, where untold story is revealed.
Omubaka Jonathan Odulu alidde Matereke ne Speaker Anita Among onokulejo nga meetings ababaka okuva mu kibiina ki NRM Speaker Anita Among yavuddeyo lunywe nakakasa nti mu Parliament e11 eri mu kubanga ekomekereza omwezi guno ne weeks eziddako awo ate obuli awo yakakasiza nti mukyali abaludaluvuganya n'agamba nti mu Parliament e12 agenda kakasa nti bano tebali muddala mu bigambo yagambye yakozesa ekigambo we swallowed eno bagigayagaya eyo nno Jonathan Odulu gyavudde kunaku lero ku makyagalero mu Parliament naso okubanga amwambalidde namugamba nyabo ekintu kyokola ate kiri mu mateeka mu video lamuno nkwedde ne leader of opposition omwekitiibwa ayitibwa Ssenyonyi nga agamba nti etteeka le sovereignty bill eriri mu kubanga litambula ku speed yayirire agambye nti lidizibweyo agenda kubanga ndaye tumuyitamu mpolapola njagala nsooke nkulage Jonathan Odulu abadde mukambwemu nenjagala tugende mpola kansoke nkujjukiza ebigambo bya speaker nga yewaana nga bw'asobola
Information members of Parliament. In the 11th Parliament, I can proudly say we didn't have opposition in Parliament.
A video I saw which was shared with me of you, the Right Honourable Speaker, somewhere last evening, telling the country that in this Parliament where I sit, you have swallowed the opposition. I don't understand the context in which you said it, but to use the word you have swallowed, you demand to explain to us as members of Parliament.
Maybe that is AI.
You will respond. That's why I said I saw.
That is AI.
I want to now want that AI. That AI should not. Yes. That AI.
I am saying for us when we're in Parliament, we are one. We don't have those divisions.
Can I first raise them?
Yes, but what you're saying is AI.
Ebuvanjuba nebugwanjuba ewaka wasigala we wasinga. Beyond the newsroom gwe mukutu ogukuleetera ekyo ekisinga katiranga naffe ng'oyita ku noti 771 4453 68 ne noti 744 26 41 na bino bikulu tetulanga bafere tetulanga basawo ba kinnansi n'abagwa mu koowa eryo mwebale kutuwagira. Thank you.
So whoever is responsible for generating such AIs and circulating such AIs
we should actually arrest them.
Speaker Anita Among ebigambo bimukalidde ku matama ne bimugwako okukakananga atandise kuba nti agamba nti eyo AI. Jonathan Odulu atabadde na bigambo biwomu eri omukubiriza w'olukiiko lwa Parliament enkulu e11 mu ggwanga lya Uganda akakasiza nti ebyaddala ebigambo ebyo byabadde bibadimininga byabadde bibakakkanyiza ddala wansi abaludde oluvuganya yadde nga batini mu namba naye agambye nti balina seat eyaabwe era balina n'ekifo ebatulamu olukiiko luno olufuzi olw'eggwanga kikyolooza ku bigambo bya Speaker Anita Among jukira avainga kulaba nga obaoliawo afuna buwagizi mu kibiina kye kya NRM era nga bano balowooza nti singa baba basonze ku muntu yaba agenda okuddako speaker olwa numbers obaoliawo zibalina kati mu bigambo byonna byakola ali mu lutalo lwakuba nti awoomesa olulimi eri bakama be n'abalala bangi nnyo basobola okuba nga obaoliawo bamwesiga bamwe ne Parliament yo12 agikulembere. Speaker Anita Among ye agambye nti eyo AI esibyabadde bigambo bye nenawe nkuwulizizaamu bino byonna bijjidde mu kaseera nga olutalo lukyali lw'amannyo aside eri Norbert Mao ali mu kubanga akuba table agamba nti njagala kifo ekyo njagala kumpa bwa speaker obw'eggwanga lino erya Uganda era agamba nti alumye n'ogwengulu okulaba nga embeera atagenda kubanga giveemu nno alina obuwagizi obutanaba kubanga bulabwako wabula okusinziira ku bigenda maaso olutalo lw'amaanyi nnyo nti singa jukira eri waggulu mu SEC bwe basoma ne bagamba nti tusonze wano oba olukiiko waliwo system gye bakozesa ne bagamba nti katono gwe twesize kuba speaker akina ekisanja obuli awo aluvuvu olulaga nti ne mawono obuwagizi abulina waggulu eyo okubira ddala eri ewa top boss ayitibwa President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Nkusaba subscribinga nkusaba video ogiliking amanya bampiranzi omukutu BTN Media gabera mawulire atiwa kutukulambulira ebintu bingi mu video leero ankwetedde ate leader of opposition nekasuke nkwe Jonathan Odulu nga akunya speaker Anita Among
those people. We should arrest those people.
Yeah, so as we go into appropriation, Madam Speaker, I want to state that the Constitution guarantees that the members of the opposition are heard in this House. They are not swallowed. They are not walloped. And any other bad thing that AI intended to do to the opposition should not stand.
Omukulu w'oludda oluvuganya alutikira ate mu Parliament ayitibwa John Ssenyonyi okuva mu kibiina ki NUP ate nga ye mwogezi omukulu avuddeyo olunaku leero n'atandika okuba nga akunya bakulu era n'asaba aba defense internal affairs ate kussa na Parliament yonna legal and parliamentary affairs ba dismissing the protection sovereignty bill. Ono agamba nti eno bill eri threat to political parties ng'ekibiina ki NUP n'ebibiina ebirala into economic survival and the rights for Ugandans to its citizens. Ono agamba nti bill eno etagatinze ebibiina nga NUP nti bwe kiba nga kirina omwogezi waakyo ali mu nsi endala nga ayina akasente oboolyawo agateeka mu nsawo yaakyo kisobola okuba nga kibeerawo ate oboolyawo agamba nti y'ensonga lwaki bill eno bagireese nti kigenda kuba kidinayinga abantu bano chance ate nga mu kukkiriza ebibiina byonna bi operating mu ggwanga lya Uganda ezo ezimu oboolyawo ku freedom ziba biina. Ono agamba nti n'ekirala kitagetinga ne citizenship ey'Abannayuganda lwansonga nti bwe bakubala buli afuluma wano mu ggwanga n'oweereza akasimbi oboolyawo akanjiko ne bwe kabanga oboolyawo akasaamusaamu kakadde kamu mekameka oboolyawo oba tolina nsonga ntuufu nnyo osobola okuba nti oboolyawo ofaanana ate foreigner atalina birowoozo birungi na intentions nnungi eri eggwanga erya Uganda. Ono mu kwogera kwe mu speech nyagala okuba nga nkuba maasawo akuutidde aba Parliament aba internal affairs n'abakakasa nti kino kigenda kukosa ebyenfuna by'eggwanga. Jjukira Bank of Uganda yavayo n'ekakasa nti etteeka lino singa linaayita lijja kukoseza ddala ebyenfuna by'eggwanga Uganda era n'agamba nti kijja kuba kya nnaku nnyo ebyenfuna okukkirira emabega ng'ate bivudde ku nsonga oboolyawo esobola okuba nti yeewalika. John Ssenyonyi ebigambo bye bwe biti bwe bibadde.
A video I saw which was shared with me of you, the Right Honourable Speaker, somewhere last evening, telling the country that in this parliament where I sit, you have swallowed the opposition. I don't understand the context in which you said it, but to use the word you have swallowed, you demand to explain to us as members of parliament.
Maybe that is AI.
You will respond. That's why I said I saw.
That is AI.
This bill suffers from fatal constitutional defects, including unjustifiable limitations on the fundamental rights, dangerous vagueness, and an unconstitutional subversion of the multi-party dispensation. In our current political climate, where the state keeps persecuting people and state persecution has forced opposition leaders and critics out of the country, this bill ceases to be a theoretical threat. It is an immediate existential danger to political pluralism, economic survival, and Uganda's standing in the global community. Honorable chairpersons and members of the Joint Committee, I appear before you today to vehemently oppose the Protection of Sovereignty Bill 2026 in its entirety. While cloaked in the language of patriotism, a careful legal analysis reveals that this bill suffers from fatal constitutional defects, including unjustifiable limitations on the fundamental rights, dangerous vagueness, and an unconstitutional subversion of the multi-party dispensation. In our current political climate, where the state keeps persecuting people and state persecution has forced opposition leaders and critics out of the country, this bill ceases to be a theoretical threat. It is an immediate existential danger to political pluralism, economic survival, and Uganda's standing in the global community. To appreciate the gravity of this bill, I invite the committee to examine the chilling day-to-day realities that this law will create across all sectors of Uganda if passed. 1. Reclassifying Ugandan citizens as foreigners. The most insidious provision is hidden in Clause 1, which defines a foreigner to include B, a Ugandan citizen residing outside Uganda. There are numerous Ugandans who live in the diaspora, and they remit over $2.5 billion US annually to our country. All these citizens are going to be deemed foreigners by this law. When did this government cease to care about its citizens to the extent of regarding them as non-citizens? Consider a political leader born in Uganda, a registered voter, and a duly elected party president who is forced into exile or out of the country due to state persecution. Under Clause 1B, the moment that citizen crosses the border to save their life, that law strips them of their Ugandan identity and reclassifies them as a foreigner. Because Clause 1 defines an agent of a foreigner as anyone who acts under the direction or control of a foreigner, and Clause 2.2a says the act applies to anyone who engages in political activities, for or in the interests of a foreigner. The domino effect is devastating, Honorable Chair and members. Imagine a party official in Kampala receives a WhatsApp voice note from this party president who is out of the country, instructing them to coordinate some party activities. Under this bill, by following those instructions, the party official here in Uganda is guilty of engaging in political activities for a foreigner who left the country. Under Clause 14, they face 10 years in prison. Under Clause 5.4, they face 20 years in prison. A local party administrator or aide, simply doing their job by taking instructions from their leader, becomes a felon. If Ugandans live abroad, suppose a Ugandan doctor working in London pays $100 roughly 380,000 Uganda shillings, into the bank account of his local political party in Kampala as membership dues. Because the doctor in London is considered a foreigner under Clause 1B, the local party treasurer has just received foreign funding. If this pushes the party's annual foreign funding to over 20,000 currency points without the minister's approval, the treasurer of that political party faces 20 years in prison under Clause 22, and the funds are forfeited to the state. This is not right. By placing a cap on foreign money, which includes diaspora remittances to parties, the Minister of Internal Affairs is handed an absolute veto over opposition party financing. If the minister dislikes an opposition party, he simply refuses the written approval for their diaspora funding. The party is financially suffocated by state fiat, directly violating our country's constitution. Let me talk about the unconstitutional overbreadth and vagueness of this law, this bill. The legislative drafting of the bill fails the constitutional test against vagueness, granting the executive arbitrary power to punish dissent. This is the catch-all foreigner. Clause 1E allows the minister to declare any person, institution, or body a foreigner. Suppose a local trade union stages a strike demanding higher wages, embarrassing the government. The minister can simply sign a statutory instrument declaring that trade union a foreigner. Overnight, the union leaders become unregistered agents of a foreigner and they face immediate arrest. How can this be right? Clause 2.2h states that the act applies to anyone who influences the public to oppose the policy of government. As the leader of the opposition, my literal duty and the team that I work with is to oppose government policy that is injurious to the citizenry and offer alternative policy positions, which we do every so often. A local civil society group running a radio talk show explaining why a new tax is harmful could be jailed for 20 years. That's problematic.
They made a reference to it. The public employs 400,000 people. And for 400,000 people, you have included in the budget 14.1 trillion, their salaries and allowances. But you represent 45 million people. How can you give 14 trillion to 400,000 people? What will you tell the others that you keep saying all ministers are on radio, PDM, PDM? 400,000 have taken 14. And this is not the only money they have taken. The table below is also representing other money. Welfare and entertainment, 214 billion. Special meals and drinks, 536 billion. Travel inland, 1 trillion. Travel abroad, 207 billion. Fuel, 514 billion. Donation, 196 billion. There is even money to buy a musical instrument, 800 million. Gas, firewood, and charcoal. We are going to spend 14 billion buying firewood and charcoal. Maybe you're going to burn the whole of Uganda. 14 billion buying charcoal, firewood. I invite you colleagues to look at the table. I don't have to take a lot of time. And the reason I'm doing so, the minister will come here waving a budget, agro-industrialization, mineral development. But this is where the money is going. Manufacturing. And then you can look at the table on page 16, other items in the budget. And I invite you, because they are given huge documents here. At the end of those documents, there is aggregated items on which we are spending money. But they have learned a very good language here. Agro-industrialization, and you think actually money is going there. So I'll jump 16, 17, 18, and come to page 19.